Be normal. That's Brandon Locklear right there, folks. We just hit the record button. I'm sitting here with Brandon Locklear, the head coach of Hoke County Wrestling, on a night before a big tournament y'all are having tomorrow. The Vernon Walworth duels. Right. That's what it is. And just wanted to get a little catch up with Brandon. We talked last year. He had a little health scare. But he's doing a lot better now, and he's really taken the wrestling program, in my mind, to a new level. And in a lot of people's minds in the community, they really don't know what's all going on with wrestling. So this is going to give us a little taste of that, plus promote what's going on tomorrow. First of all, Brandon, when did you first come to Hoke County? You're from here originally.
Yeah, been in Rayford pretty much my whole life, man.
Been in Rayford his whole life, and did you wrestle all your life, or did you just get into it in high school?
Yeah, so actually Vernon kind of snatched me up out of class one day in like 2006, and that's kind of when I got really involved with wrestling here at the high school.
So 2006, Vernon snatched you up and said, "Hey, you're going to come wrestle with me."
Yeah.
And what did you think about that? Now Vernon, we're talking about Vernon Walworth. You got to understand, larger than life in many ways. Right. He was a big guy, but a lot of people in the Fayetteville, Sand Hills region, and across the state, and really truly across the Eastern Seaboard, know who Vernon Walworth was.
Right.
And unfortunately, he passed away right after 2021, I think it was. 20 or 21, but he was the head coach at Hoke County High School. He came in, I remember him coming in talking about middle school wrestling and stuff like that, trying to get it all, parks and recreation and rec wrestling. And Brandon is a product of that, coming from one of the guys that Vernon brought up. So he started in 2006. What middle school did you go to?
So I went out to West, actually. Dave Blanks was out there.
Okay, Dave Blanks, y'all know that name?
Yeah, he kind of was trying to encourage kids to go out there and wrestle. And even then, I was still kind of, apprehensive. So
right.
Yeah.
All right. So you get into wrestling with obviously Vernon, and I remember Coach Blanks too. Then you got into high school wrestling, probably your first couple years. What did you think when you first started wrestling at the high school level?
When I first came into it,
was it something you thought you wanted to do?
Well, my dad had wrestled and my uncles had wrestled, so it's kind of been like a family thing. I don't know how I didn't get into it sooner, but once I showed up, I'll be honest, it was a lot going on, so I wasn't sure that I was going to stick it out. But I made it through my freshman year. It didn't hurt that we had a bunch of girls on the team.
Amen.
Right, so I had some encouragement, I guess, as a ninth grader to kind of stick it out. But after I stuck it out for a year, so I got a summer or two in, we kind of got a little competitive. It was a little bit easier of a transition.
Right. So what in high school now, maybe junior or senior, when did you start getting that feel that I might want to do this into the future? Because high school kids today sometimes don't know what they want to do.
Right. Well, I think I honestly think I knew I was going to coach early on, probably like 10th, 11th grade.
Okay.
Our team, we were always, we always had a gung-ho team, like a very spirited team, but we weren't always, very competitive, I'd say. We'd have some bright spots on the lineup, but as a team, we weren't really as competitive. So I spent a lot of time kind of coaching up my teammates and kind of trying to make sure everybody was on the same page so we could be more competitive. So I think I seen an interest in that early on in terms of wanting to coach, maybe my junior year probably.
Okay, junior year, you're thinking maybe I could do something like this, and then you graduate high school, and then what flows next for you?
So I started working out in the school system. I got a job working with
Right.
IEA. Vernon actually was a big influence in me getting that job. Once I got there, he was like, look, now I can bring you on board. Prior to that, I was coming, working out 2011, 2012, just showing up, working out as a volunteer assistant. Once I got the job in the school system, then Vernon brought me on as a paid assistant, and it kind of took off from there. We spent a ton of time together. Anytime I had free time, I would go and we'd sit, talk about lineups and things like that. And he kind of groomed me to be, a head coach in a sense from a very early start without me even really realizing it now that I think about it. But yeah, probably I'd say 2012 is when I really got on board and got involved.
What year did you graduate?
2010.
2010.
Yeah, so I was still in college.
Yes. Where'd you go to school?
I went to UNCP.
UNCP, the Braves.
Yeah.
Two of the boys went there. Let's see. So then you left college, you came here, and you started working with Vernon. And I think it was about that time that people started recognizing Hoke County. Yes, you mentioned it earlier that Hoke County had some bright spots on the team, but the team never did well. I asked Vernon, where did they finish? Oh, well, we didn't do so well as a team, but we had a guy competent.
Right.
But about that time frame, when you came along, I think the team started doing better as a whole. It started to come up. What was that moment that you think that Hoke County Wrestling really hit the map when you, as a team? Now, obviously, we've had individuals go all the way to state.
So I'll say that I'll say 3 moments throughout like last 10 years. Us getting middle schools in unison with Parks and Rec, that was a big
middle
one.
and Parks and Rec.
Yeah, that was a game changer. Vernon was really pivotal in getting the Parks and Rec situated for us to be able to have it at such an early age.
Club wrestling or something typically.
Yeah, to that degree. And then having the middle schools. You think we're probably one of the first, beyond Cumberland County, one of the first schools in the area to have like middle school wrestling. So that has really given us an edge as well. I'd say as a team to the level that we're at, I would say year before last is when we really kind of turned that corner. But you could see it in the making in 2017, 2018.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, we collected all of these. We had all these girls that come out of nowhere that had been wrestling for a while.
Yeah, we had the first girls state champion recently.
Right.
But we also had one of the first girls teams, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And that's what so really truly you might say the girls sort of helped the wrestling team.
For sure.
Okay.
There was definitely a point in time where like the girls were like the marquee event.
Right.
And I mean even now like there's some head busters out there. We got some really good girls.
Yeah, they got about 52 kids out here right outside that door. They're just working on drills because they got a tournament tomorrow. Okay, let's talk about the tournament and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Vernon started a tournament around the holidays called Pin That Fool, and started getting some pretty powerful schools coming in here. And I think the first couple of years they probably didn't, figured it out. McDonald Gym's not the biggest gym around, and the mats aren't the cheapest thing around to have. I think they borrowed mats sometimes to have tournaments, and you're probably still doing that today. But that tournament during the holidays became sort of a prominent place to be. And now y'all are continuing that on with the Vernon Walworth Memorial Duels, right? And this is what year for that?
So it's our 3rd year as it being the Vernon Memorial Duels. But now, like you said, we've had this tournament since the teens, early 2000 teens. I say it's probably 2009, 2010 time frame. Which has always been really cool because Vernon was real big on getting pins, So when we started doing the dual team thing, it kind of just followed suit with some of the philosophy that we kind of had prior. So.
All right, so let me list off the teams that are coming here tomorrow morning. You need to come to Hoke County. I'm going to try to get this up tonight. Cary High School, my alma mater, and I did try out for wrestling, but I don't remember if it was Winterton at the time, but that rope in the corner of the building sort of threw me off. It kind of got me. Cary High School, Purnell Sweat, Western Harnett, Pine Forest, Hoke County, the Laney girls and the Union Pine girls, Jack Britt, Westover, Grays Creek, and of course Hoke County. So you're going to have 10 or 11 teams at Rayford. That's a lot of people coming for a holiday tournament. Tell us a little bit about this tournament, how it's going to operate tomorrow, and what's some of the highlights that people need to know about.
So, I mean, we'll get the day started early. Like, we'll probably be set up and ready to go first thing in the morning, but weigh-ins won't happen until about 7:30. Wrestling won't get kicked off until about 9:15. It'll pretty much be the vast majority of the day running on 3 mats, so you can see pretty much all the action from one place in the gym. I imagine we'll be done around early dinner time, hopefully 4 or 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
no later than that.
Y'all do take a break kind of in the middle of the day?
Something like that. What we'll probably try to do is rotate some reps, let them get some lunch, so that way there's no true break, so that way we can kind of finish early. But there'll be some good matches. There's some real competitive teams. We dropped a match last year to Pine Forest here at our tournament. The first year that we've not won it since I've taken over, so I definitely look to avenge that loss, and as well as a competitive Cary team, and a host of other girls teams that are from around the area that are competitive as well. So some really good matchups, a handful of individual top 10 matchups that we'll see. So some exciting matchups.
All right, cool. All right, last thing. Rayford is you would compare it to other communities as a small, close-knit community. and the wrestling program develops a small unit of people from Hoke County High School to come out and compete against these bigger schools. What's something that Hoke County or the community or people could do to help support the program? How can Hoke County, you know how sometimes you'll go to a football town, especially in Texas, on a Friday night, it shuts down for a football game. Mm-hmm. Y'all are almost there to where when you have a tournament, people show out.
Oh, for sure.
So, but how can the community do more to support these young wrestlers?
I'll say this: if you don't know a kid that is wrestling, maybe just delve in enough to kind of identify some kids, because there's so many kids here, and Redford is so small. There's no way that you don't know one of these kids or have some kind of overlap. They do pay attention to what is said and how people feel about them. So if you could do anything but just say, hey man, I recognize that you're working hard. I acknowledge that you there's 1,000 other places you could be, but you're committing yourself to something as honorable as wrestling. And just those small words of encouragement sometimes are enough to keep a kid, when the batteries are low, keep them trending in the right direction. So
yeah, with football, you see the guys in helmets, and people always say you can't really tell who they are. Well, wrestling, they wear the protective headgear, and you don't know them. But these kids right now, I think most people are going to recognize Hoke County wrestlers when they see them. First of all, they're standing up in the community. Last year, you did a lot of work in the community. You helped raise money. The kids were out in the community doing projects and things like that. And of course, money is a big part of any sports. Look at what's happening with Carolina and NC State and naming rights and stuff like that. But wrestling, sometimes these kids don't necessarily get the full exposure as the other sports. So what would you say to our community to help them support the program?
So I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's something that I don't really think to mention as often. That
Well, you're coaching.
Yeah. So last year, one of the things that we tried to model to get kids money for funding because summertime is expensive, man. I understand it's a small area.
Traveling too.
Right. So we were having people, if there's yard work that you have, you work on a farm, you got horses, you got dogs, there's things that you need. There's hay that you need built up. I got a kid out there, he learned how to do electrical work.
Oh, wow.
He's working on getting a certification.
Amen. Yeah, our CTE program is one of the biggest and best that we've got in the country, and it's growing or in the state.
Right.
It's a jewel. I call it a little crown jewel of Hoke County. People, talk about what are some of the areas in the school system that are really doing well, and our CTE program is doing some really cool things.
Oh, yeah.
But we need community buy-in. We need buy-in from businesses like banks and retail stores and auto shops and things like that to kind of tie in. And if you want to find a group to help these kids out here, it's about probably 50 or 52 of them, we said a while ago, that could really use some support. So I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of history about you, about the Vernon Walworth duels, and what the Hoke County wrestling team is doing. So thank you for your time. You still got some work to do.
Yeah,
so I'm going to hit pause here and let you get away. And y'all be out here tomorrow. November 20, what day are we on? 27th, Wednesday morning, about 10 o'clock, 9:30 to 10. You'll get to see some powerful schools and also see some of the best of Hoke County's got to offer on the wrestling mat. So take it easy. We'll see you later.
Thank you. Oh.